Hello, my gorgeous friends on the internet. How you all doing? Okay, so today we are going to look at the second part of the YouTube downloader. And in this particular video, I'm going to show you how to get shared data. So let's say you are on YouTube and then you click on the share icon to share a video. So we want our app to display on the shared, once the shared bottom sheet opens, we want our app to display there. And once we click on our app, we want to show the shared link or any link you copied to display inside this text feed. So you don't have to put it manually. You just have to click on download and the video will just start downloading automatically. Okay. So let's see how to do this and get this stuff running. Also, we can also do the same thing when we go to browse. So it will just show the link, but I will give you guys that one as a task to work on. So once you open this one, if the link is empty, we just use the normal YouTube, but if the link is not empty, then we just display it here. Okay, so but for this video, I'm going to show you how to paste it inside this link, inside this test form feed. So that's what this video is about. And once we click on share, we want our app to display also. Okay, let me show you an example. If we go to, so let's say this is Flutter now. Okay, so let's say we click on, okay, we just get any image, click on share. Okay, let's say we click on share from any image here, and if you look here now, our app is not displaying anywhere, so we don't have our app anywhere around here. See, you can see it. Okay, so now we want our app to be part of these applications to also display, and then once we select our app, we want the link to display and then show inside this particular place, which is to show inside this link. Okay, so we are going to do that real quick, and that will also enable us to use platform channel, because I haven't seen any nice plugin to work with, so I decided to use platform channel to just write my own. So let's see how to get started. So the first thing we want to do is to display our app. So we want our app to be part of this app. So whenever we select any, we click on share. Okay, so to do that, well, I've already copied the link, is actually in my clipboard right now. So what I have to do is to go to the Android folder and go to app. You expand the source, expand the main as well. So we go to main.dat. So inside your activity, okay, inside this activity tag, you can see we have metadata. So you can paste it under here, which is intent. Just paste it, and this is it. This is the one I just pasted right now, and is an intent to actually handle any send events from an external application, and we're going to handle it as test/plain. So if you want to handle image, you can just make this one to be image and asterisk. So any file that is an image, your app is going to show up in the test files, like the bottom sheet whenever you click on share. But if you want it to accept everything, you just have to use asterisk. So even if it's a video, if it's a test, if it's a link, if it's a plain test, whatever it is, it's still going to show up your app. So for this one, I only need a test. Okay, so I have to change it like this, test/plain. So I only want to select the test/plain. So once you get this, you want to make sure you terminate your application, and once you do that, you click on run. So we're going to wait for this stuff to run. So but while it's running, I can just close this one, and again I can also open the Android folder. So while it's running, click on Android. So I just hope you're using Android Studio to do while working on this tutorial. If you already have a plugin, there's no need to use Android Studio, you use VS Code. But Android Studio is very nice, because if you want to write platform code like Kotlin or Java code, it's very nice to work with. So we can click on open in Android module and open in new windows. Okay, so I think this, okay, so just wait for it to load, and while it's loading, our app is also coming up. So let's just give it time. Alright, so our app is up and running. So let's try to see if that stuff will work again, because I just added this stuff now. So I just added the intent now. So let's see if our app will show on the bottom sheet whenever we click on share in any app. So let's go back to the YouTube app. Right now, so I'm going to click on share, and let's scroll down a little bit and see if our app will display. All right, so now you see our app now is displaying as a shared app, YouTube downloader. Okay, so you can see our app. If we click on it, it's going to open our app, but right now it's not actually copying the text, and we are not seeing any text here. This stuff is still blank. So how are we going to achieve that? So we need platform channel for that to work. Okay, so now I'm just going to, okay, let me go to the, okay, so let me just, I think I'm going to full screen this. Okay, is that the one? Okay, this one actually. So I'm going to just full screen this stuff. Okay, so what we are going to do now is to go to the app and collapse it, go to Java and YouTube, whatever your app name is. Then you go to your main activity. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to create a private variable, so which is like going to handle the shared test. So this is where we're going to call, we are going to use the native platform to get the test whenever we click on our application from the bottom sheet, whenever we are trying to share anything. So once we click on it, the native side is going to get the shared data, like the test or the URL or whatsoever. And then once we get it, we're going to send it using platform channel to Flutter application. Then our Flutter app is going to display it inside the test feed where we are supposed to paste the link. Okay, so I believe I explained that to the best I can. So now let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do now is to create a private variable. So I'll call this data. Okay, and it's going to be a string. Okay, so just initialize it. At first I want it to be an empty string, and then secondly I'm going to create an onCreate method. So just call onCreate, and right here now I'm going to just call I'm going to create an intent that is actually going to handle that is going to get the data. So just call get intent data. So right now this data I've not created, this variable has not been created. So what I have to do, I just click here and create the function real quick. Okay, so this is the function get intent data. So what is actually happening here inside this get intent data is it's going to communicate with the Android OS to get the shared data, and then once you get the shared data, I'm going to set it to this data. Okay, it's more like calling set state in Flutter, but in this case there's nothing like calling set state. I'll just assign the new data to this data, and then to override the empty string. Okay, so that's what we're going to do real quick. So this onCreate is called whenever we just our app launches. Okay, so it's automatic. Once we call this once our app launches, it's just going to call this get intent data. So every time is not going, as long as we have already called on share, it's not going to be empty. Okay, but you can still remove it, it's not really needed, but for in our case I'll just leave it that way, or I can comment it if you want. But this actually is not really doing much of the work, so you can comment it. Okay, but I just want it to be there. Okay, so avoid complication, let me just comment it. So now we are not making use of it anymore. So I have this get intent data that is actually going to get the shared data. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I will use an if statement. Okay, so I will do something like, okay, yes, so now I'm going to use an if statement to let me just write a function. So we are only going to get the intent data if the send intent is a test. Okay, if the send intent is a test. Okay, so I can just use this stuff. All right, so what I will do now, I will use an if statement. So let me just remove this stuff. So I will say if the intent, okay, if intent, and it's actually null, so I just use the null stuff there. So if intent is equal to intent.action send, okay, action send. So in our case it's actually intent.action send. So if you go to this part, if you go here now, our main Android manifest is actually intent.action send. Okay, so we go back. So if the intent.action is equal to intent.action send, then we are going to process the we are going to get the data. Okay, we are also going to check again if the type is of test or plain. So if intent dot type is equal to test slash plain, we also need to process the data. So the same thing is happening here too. So if you look here, we are actually trying to get the MIME type, which is test dot plain. Okay, so now once we are sure that the if statement evaluates to false, then it's time for us to get the intent. So what we do, we just said call intent dot get string extra, okay, and it requires a name. So the name is just going to be intent dot extra test. Okay, you can also get image if you want, or whatever you want to get. So I'll call extra test, then just call let. I believe you already know what let is, so let me just call this the intent data here. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to set the value. So the value now is being stored at this intent data. I'm going to set this intent data to this data that we have up here. Okay, so I'll just call data equal to intent data. Remember, the intent data is a string, so we have no issues. Okay, it's a string, but I need to put something. Okay, let's see. Okay, intent data, and I need to, okay, let me include the stuff here, or I can decide to put it here if I want. Okay, so it doesn't matter, but let me just put it here to be safe. Okay, all right, so now you can see we now have the function to get the intent whenever we click on the share icon and then select our application. This function is going to handle it. So what we have to do now is to write the method channel call that is going to get called whenever that is going to send the data to Flutter. Okay, so I believe you already know of platform channel because I've done many videos concerning platform channel in my previous tutorial, so you might want to check them out. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to call configure, because it's going to help us to actually handle the call.method, and if the method is equal to share data or whatever, we send it back to Flutter and all those stuff. Okay, right, inside here now I'm going to call method channel. Okay, and then method channel takes something, so let's hover on it to see. We need to import this. Is it to be imported? Okay, no need to import. So now we need to put the binary messenger from, we are going to get that from Flutter engine dot executor dot binary messenger, and then after that we are going to pass the channel name. So in our case we are going to use app.youtube. Okay, so that's the channel name, and then we can say set method call handler that takes a call. So I don't use this, let's just use this. So it takes a call, so the call is going to get triggered whenever we are going to use it to check if the call.method is equal to the function that you are calling from the Flutter side. Okay, then the result is the result that the Flutter side is going to get whenever we return it. Okay, so you're going to understand these stuffs. So now what I'm going to do, I'll check if the call.method is equal to get data. So this data must correspond to the one on your Flutter side. So you don't want to get spare something differently, because you will not get the data that you want. So if the call.method is equal to get data, so what we'll do, we are going to get this intent data. So let's just call the function. Okay, so you know that this function is actually handling setting of this data.intent to this variable up here. Okay, so whenever we call this data, you are very certain that this stuff is not going to be null as long as we have already shared something. Okay, so this stuff is not going to be null. Okay, so get intent data, and then once we get it, we want to return the result back to Flutter so that we can display it inside our test form feed. Okay, so to do that, we're just going to call the result, which is this stuff here, result dot sources, okay, and then we pass in the shared the data which we just the data that we assign intent data to, which is this one. So we send the data there, and then we can now set the data to be an empty string. Okay, so setting it to be an empty string so that whenever we are trying to return another one, it will not return the same string. So just set it to an empty string, okay, after sending the data to Flutter side. All right, so I think we are good, we are done, nothing much here. Okay, so no additional stuff to work with. So we are done with this particular part for the platform channel. So now we are going to go back to the Flutter side. So take note of this app.youtube, and also take note of this get data, because it will really help us a lot. Okay, so what we'll do now is to, let's see, okay, this is the app. Okay, so what we'll do now is to write the code that we communicate to the platform channel, and then like more like a function that will be communicating with the native platform to get the shared data, and then our Flutter app itself will also communicate with that class in our Flutter to get it. Okay, so I believe, okay, let me just do this real quick. So what we're going to do now, remember you still need to key your app to run all this stuff to work. Okay, but before we do that, let's go back to okay, close this one, we don't need it. And so let's go back to lib folder. So what I'm just going to create, I'll create a dat file and call it data file. Okay, get shared data. All right, so this is a dat file, and I'll just create a class, and I'll call this data class. Okay, and then the first thing I'm going to create is a static string that is going to correspond to the channel name. So I'm going to call this one channel. Okay, so it must correspond with this. So let's see where to copy that. So we can copy this app.youtube. Okay, it must be the same. All right, so once you get that, you paste it here, and now I'm going to create the method to get the data from native code. Okay, that is from the platform channel. Okay, all right, so now what I'm going to do now is to create okay, yeah, is to create a method. It's going to be void, no, not a void, it's going to be a future that will return a string, because the data we are getting is a shared data and is a form of text slash plain, which is a string. Okay, so we call this feature string, and we call this one shared data. Okay, and it's a function actually, so we set it like this, and it's going to be an asynchronous function because you are communicating with platform channel, so you want to put a sync. And now we're going to create final. Okay, I can just return this. Okay, let me just return this straight, or okay, I will just return. Okay, let me just return await, or I can set it to a variable final. Okay, data equal to await, and then I will use my method channel, okay, to actually communicate. Method channel now requires the name, which is this name, so I'm going to pass this channel inside. Okay, once I get the channel, I can now call dot invoke method. So the method must actually correspond with the method we want to trigger, and in this case is this one, which is get data. If call the method is equal to get data, then to now call the get intent. So you want to copy this one, make sure it corresponds, and then we paste it here. Okay, all right, so that's it. And once we get the data, we just have to return it back to, okay, you can just make this one to be a static type, so string. Okay, so once we get the data, we can now return it back. Okay, so the future, we have returned the data. Okay, I believe you understand this one. Okay, you don't need more explanation here. So this is just it, and nothing much. All right, so I can kill my app now, run it, and definitely I don't think we're still going to get any error. So let me just wait for it to run to be sure that my implementation, everything is perfect. All right, so our app is up and running, and right now you can see the test is still blank. Okay, so now let's see how to show display the text here whenever we click on share and then select our application. So take note of the class data class and share data is a feature, so we need to go use .then. So basically I want to do it inside this class, which is the paste link class. And if you open the paste link page, so open the screens, we have the paste link. So I'm going to do this inside my init state. So you take note of our test controller, so let's just use init. Okay, for now let me just do something different. So I will just say once we initialize this page, I want to like set state here first. Let me just show you something abstract first. Okay, test controller dot test. Okay, so we're going to say the link we go here. Okay, the link we go here. So let me just show you how it's going to be like. So if I do a, let me say hot restart now, once this page loads, you see this link is going to replace this one here. So let's just wait for it. Okay, you can see the link we go here. So once this init state is always called as the first method that gets called whenever we build a widget. Okay, so now, but now we don't want this stuff, we don't want to put this one dynamically, we want it to work automatically once the test is being retrieved. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to remove this, and then I'm going to call my data class. Hope you're not wondering where this data class is coming from, because it's actually the class we created here, data class dot shared data. So let me get the shared data, and I can call .then. Remember, it's a future, so I want to get a string. So once we get the data, I'll just set state. So if the data is an empty string, you set it an empty string. If it contains any data like a U2 value, then we set it here. Okay, then set state, we can now say test controller dot test equal to value. All right, and we can close this stuff here now. Okay, so save this and we can do a hot restart. So I believe this stuff now should be empty. Yeah, because we haven't clicked on any shared stuff to do anything, so it should be empty. Let's wait. Did I just do hot restart there? Okay, I keyed the app. No, I didn't. Okay, let's do a hot restart again to see. Wait for it. Okay, still running, so let's just give it some time. Okay, so the app is up and running now, and you can see now the link is empty. Okay, so let's see how to populate this link whenever we click on share in any browser. So let's go back to, okay, that's my pics. Okay, so I'm going to click on share and our app should come up. Okay, and click on it. Okay, so I didn't get anything. Yeah, I didn't get anything, so let's try that again. Okay, close the app. Let's just close it and let's click here, share. Okay, so click on our application and see. So we're going to wait to see if it's going to launch, and you can see now the link has been populated automatically. Okay, so you see the link. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so we can also do the same thing. Okay, let's remove that and click on the video. As an ad, so we can just click on share. Okay, so our app should come up somewhere, so click on it, and now you see the link there. So that's the YouTube link, and if I click on it now, it should start downloading. Okay, but I think the file is too large and I will not have to do it. So let me just look for a smaller file, okay, with maybe low this thing. Okay, let me just search for trailers. So I think the trailers are so short. Let me look for a short trailer. Okay, so we have this one, the colony. So let's just use this. Okay, click on share, go to our application, select it. So now it has been populated, and we can click on download. And let's see, video is downloading. Slide down to see the progress. So it's actually downloading right now. Okay, you can see that. So the YouTube downloader is actually working, and it will extract it and get the data and to start downloading. So that's just it. Alright guys, so guys, thanks so much for watching this video, and this was actually what I wanted to show you guys, how to get data when another app shares, how to show your app in the bottom sheet that shows up when you click on share from other apps, and all those stuff. So thank you guys for watching. I so much appreciate your time. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, and share if you love this video. See you in my next video.